I'm not the kind to kiss and tell, but I've been seen with fire up. I've never been with anything less than a 9. So fine, I've been on fire with Sally Field, gone fast with a girl named Bo, but somehow they just don't end up as mine. It's a death-defying life I lead. I'd take my chances. I'd die for living in the movies and TV. But the hardest thing I ever do is watch my leading ladies kiss some other guy while I'm bandaging my knee.
Everybody now.
I can't even
I roll a brand new car.
What's up, man?
That Redford's such a star.
He changed the name like 3 times, I think. Yeah, I think numerous times during this song, and also during the seasons, I think he changes the name. Like, it's Reynolds, it's Eastwood, it's Redford, whatever popular star was at that time. It's kind of depressing knowing that the action stars of our youth are now, like, in their 70s, and that's weird. That means we're getting old.
Yeah. No, it doesn't. You hush your mouth.
Oh, my back!
I think I broke a hip.
Just singing that song threw my back out.
That's right. That's right.
You know what my favorite part of that song is, and it's a weird thing to like, is the siren. Right as he's about to go into the chorus, there's like a siren, and then he kicks it back up. I don't know if that's an odd choice for a song, but I like it.
Lee Majors sang that song, and I'll tell you what. I don't know if he ever sang anything other beyond that, but it's got to be the one song that's stuck in my head.
Yeah.
Above any other theme song I've ever. I don't know why, but
I tried looking it up so we could play it on my phone. I have Rhapsody, and usually for the show I did get the songs that I want and I have them ready to go. And for some reason, this one they had it on Rhapsody, but none of his version. They would have like a bunch of country songs, and I was like, "Is this him? Because this doesn't sound right." And I would listen to another one, and it kind of sounded like him, but something was off. So thankfully, somebody put the clip on YouTube, so I can just go there and post it instead. Yeah, because sometimes it's a challenge finding these original songs. I don't know if he ever did put out an album.
I don't know. He sounds like an average singer to me, but he did good.
Well, it's whatever it is, it's still light years ahead of the Chuck Norris Walker, Texas Ranger, the most tone-deaf theme song in history.
Yep.
Yeah, I will never understand why they go ahead, Chuck Norris, go ahead and sing that. Oh, he can't carry a note. Oh, this is rough. Oh, well, let's keep this going for the next 8 seasons.
It's Chuck Norris. You can't tell him no.
Yeah, you know what's funny is I'm going over the list. For the people, if this is your first episode checking us out, I believe we are on episode 3 or maybe 4 of season 2. We do 6 episodes per season, then we take a break for a while. We discuss movies for a while, and then we come back to the shows. And I kind of map out, we discuss what shows go well together. And I have in a far corner Walker, Texas Ranger, because he did have a cool, vehicle. But I'm kind of hoping that we get sick of the show before we ever get to that point, like we're that desperate. Oh, what's left? No, Walker, Texas Ranger, and Thunder in Paradise. Let's do the Hulk Hogan crappy show first, and then we'll do Chuck Norris.
Oh, sorry, Chuck. Sorry, Sir Chuck.
Oh my God. His action movies are brainless fun, and there's one where he literally sits there and fights ninjas. Or no, he discovers ninjas in this movie called The Octagon, and he literally just goes, "Oh my God, ninjas!" And you're like, was that just a test run for the dialogue, and they just kept it, or was that him acting? I can't tell. Oh my God.
Oh my God. That's going to be my running line from now on.
Yeah, anytime something bad goes wrong. Oh, my God. Ninjas. But you know who could act and who never got any credit was Lee Majors. And his success, and not a lot of people realize, most actors who are really famous for a TV show only have that TV show. Rarely do any TV actors have a successful movie career. It usually is they try out a few movies, and a few movies that don't do too well after that. They usually go straight to video or TV, and then they go back to television, and at best they have a show that maybe lasts a couple seasons, and that's it. Then they become like, or the guest star. Lee Majors was one of the main characters in Big Valley, lasted for years. Of course, $6 Million Man, I believe, lasted 5 seasons. Fall Guy lasted 5 seasons. And then, I don't know if this counts as a hit, but do you remember the show Raven about the American, samurai?
Vaguely.
It was on for, I believe, 2 seasons, and it was a cult hit, so they brought it back for a movie on TNT, I believe. So I don't know if that counts as a success, but for a guy to be on 4 shows, it, did decent. I can't really think of a lot of actors like that. Not even Bob Newhart had that many hits. Actually, no, wait. Bob Newhart only had 2 hits. You know what? If I can find another actor that had as many successful shows as Lee Majors, I will be surprised.
So he's still... I can't see, looking back through his list of stuff here, where he's really been inactive. Yeah. I mean, maybe nothing real big, but he's definitely been active.
There was a show about, I think, 10 years ago that I really wanted to see take off. They said it was a really good pilot, but ABC said there was no audience for it, which I say, bullcrap. It was supposed to be Lee Majors, William Shatner, and Robert Wagner as 3 dried up, one was like a cop, one was a detective, one was like ex-military, and they solved cases together, and it was supposed to be kind of a comedy show, and I really wanted to see that, and ABC said no, and I'm like, you guys don't know anything.
I remember seeing him, for him being active for a while, I had not seen him in anything, but I started taking up this show called Jake 2.0 a while back.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that one?
Yeah. That's coming to DVD soon, actually.
Awesome. I hated seeing that show end, but he played a part in that, or at least a couple of episodes of it as a double agent. Where is it? Anyway, but yeah, that's the first time I'd seen him back in a while. He's also been on Grey's Anatomy.
He graduated from IU.
Did he? Is he from Indiana or?
No, he's from Kentucky. He's from Middlesboro, Kentucky. He went to IU, and I believe he played football for IU, and then he got really hurt. Like a lot of, like Dean Cain, he was a football player. He got hurt, and then he started getting interested in acting, and that's where he decided to stay.
I'll say he started off as a stuntman himself.
Yeah, so I wonder.
I don't know if he went into acting or stuntmanship. How do you say that?
Yeah.
Anyway, first or what? But
yeah, I don't know. A lot of actors who are able to do physical stuff tend to supplement their income by doing light stunts. They don't do the major stuff. They're just this is an episode of Gunsmoke, and in this one you're going to take a fall, get shot and fall, whatever. Literally it's a stunt if you fall to the ground or if you take a punch, and you get a bump in pay considering how much, how difficult the stunt is, your pay will go up. If you fall off a building, obviously it's going to be a huge bump. If you get caught in an explosion or any sort of wire work, you get a huge bump. Burt Reynolds was known for doing lots of stunts before he joined. I think he joined Gunsmoke, is who I'm thinking of, and then he became a leading man.
Burt Reynolds was in Gunsmoke?
I'm pretty sure it was Gunsmoke that he was a regular on for about 3 or 4 seasons, and he was so popular that's when he started getting picked up for movies.
Well, that's pretty. I'll have to look that up. Let's see. I'm trying to. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything listed about what Lee was in as far as stunt work, but
yeah. If anybody's listening to this episode, you'll notice that both of us have kind of lost our voice. This is a cause and effect of working retail during Black Friday, and you're yelling over everybody. Where I work, we play country music all day, really, really loud. So I'm yelling over the people, over the music, over my co-workers, and now I have laryngitis. So I forgot about this. When I said 4 shows, it's actually 5 shows. Between Big Valley and $6 Million Man, he was on a TV show for 3 years called Owen Marshall, Counselor at Law, and it was critically acclaimed. Not huge ratings, but it was on for 3 seasons. So that is 5 shows that were hits that he was on. Beat that! What is it?
Wow.
Okay, William Shatner. William Shatner has Star Trek, T.J. Hooker, Rescue 911, The Practice.
Wow.
That's 4. Does he have a 5th? You know, yeah, I was gonna say if that show, he was on that show, Stuff My Dad Says. If that had been successful, he could have tied him. But so far, we got a win in Lee Majors. All right, so you'll notice. I think.
Oh, so
what's that?
One note here, in the title song where it says, "I don't need to brag, I've been seen with Farrah."
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We all knew a Farrah. There's only one Farrah, right?
Right.
He was actually married to her.
Yeah. Not a lot of people.
I wonder if it had anything. Was that a love song to her? Or?
Yeah. Well, I think if you're our age or older, you'll probably remember that because for a while, I think literally in Logan's Run, she's credited as Farrah Fawcett Majors, but anybody younger than us may not know that because she was with Ryan O'Neal for so long that it kind of erased the Lee Majors marriage.
Right. Hopefully, it wasn't blood, but bad blood. Anyway.
Yeah. Who knows?
Moving on.
While we're talking about car stuff, there is a movie that he made right before he starred in The Fall Guy. It's a Canadian sci-fi film called The Last Chase, and it's about a car outracing a plane. It's been a really long time since I've seen it. Has a kid from Meatballs, and basically he is trying to get, I can't remember if it has something to do with oil. His cars are outlawed, and he's dying. He wants to go for one last race before he dies. And I want to say it was Burgess Meredith is flying the plane, and he's trying to stop him by any means necessary. It's been a very long time since I've seen it, but I believe it's up on YouTube. But he did that right before. So if you're looking for a futuristic car movie, Last Chase is out there.
Oh, definitely.
So besides The Fall Guy, it was originally a movie. The pilot movie, I believe, and of course it went to series because it was such a successful show. Here's the weird thing is, in my mind for the longest time, I thought the show was kind of a cult show. Like, it did okay in the ratings, it just kind of held on until finally somebody at the network said, no, let's get rid of this. No, if you look at the ratings, all 5 seasons, it was a top-notch show. Its last season, 85-86, it was number 39, so it was a bit lower than normal. But still, 15.8 rating, which would be the #1 show in America right now. And it's hard for me to believe that got canceled due to ratings. It was probably maybe Lee Majors, because he did a lot of stunts himself, even though the show also was an exhibition for other stuntmen. And maybe he was just tired. Maybe he was beaten down that he didn't want to do it anymore.
I don't know.
Yeah, I can't find anywhere the real reason why the show was canceled, and it could have gone on for at least another couple seasons with those kind of ratings.
Right. How many seasons did we have? 5?
5. I do know that the 6th season, which is technically not a 6th season, ABC was in serious trouble in 86-87, and they started airing some of the episodes from season 5 to try to boost ratings. But I think it was like the 3rd lowest rated show of the season. So maybe they shouldn't have aired reruns. Maybe they should have just, I don't know, got some new episodes going.
One would think.
Or, you know what? I always thought that'd be cool if Lee Majors was tired of doing it, that maybe he sit back, have it be like an and Lee Majors, and have Howie and Jody become the main characters, and them go on the adventures, and he does more of the handling. Like, you remember how Marky Post?
Right.
I know there was 3 girls in the show playing kind of the same character, the one who basically gets them the jobs. But I think most people remember Marky Post being on the show. Lee Majors could have stepped into that role, being like the guy who gets them the jobs.
Right. I don't know. I think after so long with him being lead, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe people wouldn't have taken to it. I think sometimes when the lead steps away or quits, that it's hard for a show to keep going.
So how often is a spinoff similar in that realm actually taken off? I don't know.
Well, nowadays...
and done just as well.
Yeah. Nowadays, it seems like every show that's successful gets a spinoff, and it goes on and on and on. I mean, I don't think a lot of people remember that JAG started 20 years ago, and that spun off NCIS, and now NCIS has 2 spin-offs. Who knew that a show that got canceled its first season would do this?
JAG started 20 years ago.
Yeah, so JAG...
I said...
It got canceled by CBS, and then it got canceled by NBC, then CBS picked it up, And a show that barely lasted a season ended up going for like I think 8 more seasons and then spun off NCIS. So it can happen now, but back in the day, I really don't think spin-offs were very successful.
Mm-mm.
Unless it was a comedy. Like, I think Happy Days and All in the Family had a bunch of spin-offs, but action shows, no.
Action shows, some drama shows, I would imagine the same way. Happy shows are more, most people watch TV. Not everyone watches drama. They'd rather, they come home, hard day at work, they want to watch something that's going to make them laugh, you know?
Well, the nice part is about Fall Guy is it did balance the action with the laughs. It wasn't too heavy on drama.
Yes.
And it wasn't heavy on serialization, whereas most action shows today, you kind of have to stay with it the whole time. Whereas Fall Guy, you could just jump into an episode anywhere, and you're not going to be lost.
Yeah, exactly. I'd say that's one of the reasons why I love this show so much, because it was, and all the comedy was actually good. At least I thought it was, but maybe I'm easy to impress. But
yeah, the nice part for me was I was a movie-aholic almost instantly. I think from age 4, when I saw Star Wars, I became obsessed with movies. And the Fall Guy, if nobody's ever seen the show, I'm kind of curious why you're listening to this episode, but whatever. Fall Guy.
Well, maybe they'll learn it.
Yeah, he was a Hollywood stuntman, but he had problems paying the bills. I never understood why, because stuntman actually pays pretty decent. But on the side, he would do bail bondsman work, skip tracing kind of stuff. So part of the episode, it usually started off with him on set doing a stunt, and then it would go into the adventure. Because the movie stunt would get your interest. It would keep you going through that first commercial break and then get you into the action. And I thought that was kind of cool seeing behind the scenes. They did the same thing on Airwolf every once in a while, because he was doing helicopter stuff for movies. And then he would go into his, government job.
I think Hannibal would do that occasionally on A-Team as well.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. That's a weird trend. Now, it kind of makes sense with Fall Guy because it's the same creator as... Wait, no, it wasn't. Glenn A. Larson
A-Team.
Glenn A. Larson created Knight Rider. Stephen Cannell did A-Team, so never mind. Forget what I just said.
Yeah.
Walk away, look
but
away.
Did Cannell not do... Or maybe I'm mixing my shows up. Was that Rockford Files?
Rockford Files is Cannell and Roy Huggins.
Okay.
It's funny, Glenn Larson and Stephen J. Cannell are responsible for probably 75% of the shows we discuss on here.
Yeah. Well, let's say something about their cred. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, they knew how to get a show greenlit, and they knew how to appeal to young guys like us. I mean, just throw in a cool car, some adventure, some clever dialogue. You're good to go.
Right.
And a hot babe doesn't bother people much.
Yeah.
I was always
That's one thing I kept.
Go ahead.
It was a recurring theme I found in everything. I was trying to look up facts for the show, and everyone had something that was like, and that blue bikini.
Blue bikini. Not to say that Heather Thomas was the only one. When Marky Post, every once in a while she'd show up in one, you're like, hello. Because they had a hot tub. I remember he always had a hot tub to relax after getting beat up.
Right.
And the girls would show up in there. It's kind of what's the guy's name? Spelling, Aaron Spelling, kind of jiggle fest. Throw it in. I was always bummed that Howie's actually my favorite character, not Colt. I think it's because I kind of get his aw shucks kind of innocent attitude, like he was new. He's the guy who you basically go with, because you're new to the characters, you're new to the show in this world, and you go along his journey as he discovers what it's like to be a bail bondsman and work in the movies and stuff like that. But I was bummed that his career went nowhere. He did that one movie. Do you remember it was a Disney movie with the alien guys? They were kind of cool, and they came down to... dang it, what's it called? Invaders? Spaced Invaders. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, that's the only thing I ever saw him in after this, and I have no idea where his career went. And Heather Thomas got plastic surgery, and it went horribly awry, so I'm assuming that's why we don't see her anymore.
Right. Why do they got to do that?
I know,
anyway.
Right?
Just deal with what we were given and leave well enough alone. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm looking her up right now. This picture's not that long ago. It looks like maybe they fixed the damage the plastic surgery did, but show's good.
That's good.
Yeah, because you never want that frozen face kind of thing going. Not everybody can pull off the Morgan Fairchild look, where she looks like everything is just stuck.
So, you got me. I got to look at... Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So before we go into the vehicle details, the last thing is this is one of the shows that's been hampered horribly by music rights and poor sales. I don't know if they're related to each other. I do know that WKRP, when the first season came out and they changed tons of the music, that the fans rejected it and it did not sell well. Shout Factory bought the rights. They tried to put in, I think they put in about 90% of the music, and now it's a huge success. The Fall Guy, only season 1 is available streaming. I believe it's on Hulu. It's on disc, and they changed a lot of the music, and they even cut out sequences of some of the episodes because they're music oriented. Now, hopefully somebody can go out there and license the rights, put the music back in, because for a show that still has this much of a cult following, it should not be abandoned. There's still 4 years worth of episodes you cannot find on disc, but thankfully somebody has put every episode on YouTube, and they look actually pretty good. They must have been from the FX run, which Ron will probably remember. When Fox premiered, me and Ron would spend our afternoons, instead of like doing our homework in class, going to class, we'd watch Fall Guy and 21 Jump Street and stuff like that.
What?
Do you remember? It was 97, 98 when FX premiered, and we got it at college. And we found ourselves pretty much every afternoon for a couple months watching the Fall Guy instead of doing, doing homework.
Sorry, my alarm's going off.
That's okay.
Yeah, I mean, yes, we vigilantly studied and...
I mean, yes, kids, do not watch reruns of old shows from your childhood. Do your homework. Because, I don't know if you know this
Morton.
or not, we have our degrees, and they didn't go very far.
I'll tell you, Morton. I got to call out Morton on this show.
Yes.
He's probably one of the reasons I still remember the words to this song.
This is the reason I won't watch Top Gun again, because he watched it every single day for months until I couldn't take it anymore.
Well, I didn't room with him, so I can still watch it.
Yeah.
Anyway, we love you, Morton.
All right.
Anyway.
Let's get some details about his badass truck.
Let's see. His truck was a 1982 GMC K2500 wide side with a CR Grand equipment level package. Did everybody get that?
Sold!
That's right. Okay, from what I gathered from the information I could glean from the interwebs, I could find that at any one given time, at least during their shooting during the weeks, they'd have 4 trucks they would use. One was the pristine one that they used for all their regular shots. It did nothing more than run over speed bumps or, things like that for the glamour shots. And then there were 3 other trucks for various other jobs. And I don't know if it's one or if there were more of them, but there was at least one jump truck that they, after killing a few trucks, they decided they needed. And what's really interesting about the jump truck is that, amazingly, jump truck, not dump truck. Amazingly, the suspension was stock, considering how hard they were driven. But there were... What? Go ahead.
How did that even last?
What?
I assumed that would get destroyed.
I would imagine eventually. It was an off-road truck or a package on it too, though. So, but they added some other stuff. Obviously, some lift blocks and dual shocks and axle trusses to strengthen everything up, and along with some other things. But some further digging found that they also remounted the engine. It became a mid-mounted engine, which essentially put the engine in the cab with them. Could you imagine having a 350 V8 sitting right next to you?
Oh, good God. It had to get hot. It had to get real warm and uncomfortable in there. Like, oh, boy.
It's a good thing they only were in it for, about 10 minutes at a time. But, but anyway, that's about all I have on that. One noted car in here, and it unfortunately wasn't in there very often for those, and I won't say much on it, but there was an 82 to 84 Pontiac Firebird that I believe Heather Thomas drove. And
hot girl, hot car. I don't know which
but
one
I don't
I'd
think it
rather
was
have.
What?
I don't know which one I'd rather have.
Well, the thing I could say, it shared the same emblem, the big eagle emblem, Fall Guy emblem on the front of it, and it was a T-top model. That's about all I can give you on that. If you want to look up more on that, you can look up '82 Pontiac Firebird, and you'll get all the information you want because it was fairly stock. So.
Yeah, I actually had both of those, the Hot Wheels or Matchbox version of both of those vehicles, and I beat the crap out of that truck.
Why? Were you jumping Porsches and?
Well, I had one of those plastic racetracks, and I would shoot it straight up in the air. And for some reason, it would shoot straight up and then crash straight down. I don't know. I love my Hot Wheels, but I beat the crap out of them constantly. I did the same thing with
So you're saying that wasn't? So you're saying that wasn't the Glamour Shot truck?
Nope, it was not. It was the glamour crap shot. It was like everything was ruined.
Awesome.
Yeah, of the three shows we're going to discuss, I think I like I almost said the wrong show. I prefer the Fall Guy.
Amen to that.
All right, so we're going to take a pause here real quick, and we'll come back with Rockford Files. Alright, that was the Rockford Files theme song. If you didn't know that, then you obviously didn't grow up in the era that we grew up in. It's such an interesting song. I think it's the first theme song to use a Moog, which is that weird audio radio. It's like almost like an alien sound. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say, except for that part, the song's really good.
Oh, you don't like the Moog? I love the Moog.
I love the Moog in the right context, but I think it kind of worked for this, but it's just, I don't know. I'm going on, that being said, that's my personal opinion, but that thing made it to number 10 on the Billboard chart. I'm like, so something's going right with it. Anyway.
I think it's the theme song is perfect on both shows we've discussed so far because it sets a tone for the characters. Lee Majors is kind of a sad sack. The song kind of has a somber, like, oh, everybody else gets the respect, why do all the work? And this one, It has an offbeat, unusual tone to it. And it kind of sets the idea that, Rockford is, yes, he's a detective, and there's tons of detective shows out there, but he's kind of an offbeat version of the detective He's broke,
yes.
He takes care of his dad, he gets the crap beat out of him all the time, and people are always after him for debts and stuff like that, so he's kind of a schlub. Even though he doesn't look like he'd be a schlub, he's actually looks like he's a well-to-do, handsome fella.
Yeah. I thought I don't know. He even acts that way too, I don't know.
He's
I guess you don't have to be a jerk to be down on your luck.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me, I don't know if you listen to Johnny Dollar.
Oh, the old radio shows, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know why he pops out above other ones, but he seems kind of like that same kind of demeanor, but anyway.
Yeah, I like yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Exactly. But
so, Rockford Files actually was not that successful when it first came out. The first season did very well, but after that it kind of petered out. It's syndication that made the show so well known. It was something that was sold by Universal. Universal was like the king of syndication. When we were kids, we had a channel called WFTT, Super 55 Fox. And
yes.
Well, before Fox. No, actually it was just Super 55. And it bought a package from Universal Studios, and we got to see tons of shows. Rockford played. Voyagers was probably my favorite bunch. Street Hawk, Baba Black Sheep, a.k.a. Black Sheep Squadron. I think they don't own Little House on the Prairie, but they had the licensing rights at the time, so we saw a bunch of those shows because of their package deal. WKRP, Small Wonder, Mr. Belvedere, stuff like that. Andy Griffith, I think, was one of theirs.
I've watched every single one of those except Baba Black Sheep. I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah,
which means I had no... I spent more time in front of the TV. I don't know how I ever played outside.
I know, right? That's what I always think about. I was like, I remember playing outside all the time, playing baseball and running through the woods. Do you remember having toy guns that looked like real guns, and you're stunned to this day that we didn't get killed?
Yep.
I was like, I ran around with an AK-47. I was 8 years old. It looked like full size, and it made it's just ridiculous that we had those.
I remember having I don't know when they started going to all that, but I remember that. What was that bright orange and blue gun that we had in high school?
Oh yeah. Well,
that we were going to paint and use as a prop for a movie that we never did.
Right.
But we decided it was probably best we didn't.
Oh, but do you remember when we were so stupid chasing each other around in Vincennes with toy guns?
Yeah.
And we were the team that was farthest away. We were deep in like the woods and over by the memorial. And then we come over to our home base. We parked our cars and made our home base. Oh my God, to this day I still can't believe we're not all dead. A bank. We made a bank our home base. There's like 8 of us running around with guns, squirt guns, but in the dark they look like real guns. And we came over and we saw the other team being put up against weren't they up against the car and they had to put the guns on the ground or whatever, and they were like checking them to make sure there was nothing going on? I can't remember.
I vaguely remember that.
I don't know if they frisked them or not, but I do know the cops were there. And what did we do?
We ran.
We ran away. We're like, we're not getting involved with this crap. We would have helped their
Yeah, that
story.
looked good.
Well, we could have helped their story, but also if cops are already surrounded by 4 kids, and then 4 more pop out of the woods, they might be like overwhelmed to accidentally shoot one. I don't know. I don't know what could have happened. I'm not saying cops are bad. They're gun. I'm just saying things could happen. Mistakes are made, and I'm glad we're both still alive.
To this day, we don't know what happened to our friends.
We have no idea. I never bothered to follow up on that. When people ask me, I go, I've never heard of them. I have no idea who you're talking about.
That's right. Oh.
I don't even know how we got to this point. Oh yeah, watching so much TV as kids.
Right.
Yeah, so Rockford Files, first season did well. After that, it kind of, you're talking season 5 was 59th place, which back in the day means your show was sucking I don't want to say the word again. I always said the A word once. We try to run a clean show. If you listen to the show I do with Jacob, it's the exact opposite, where it's the most filthy show you've ever heard. It's like I'm balancing out the universe by being clean here. But here's the thing that Fall Guy never got was the acclaim, the awards. Rockford Files was constantly nominated for Emmys and writing awards and everything like that, Golden Globes. So that's one reason why it stayed on the air. If the ratings weren't very good, but you got all those people behind you saying this is amazing, you keep it on the air.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for those people, Hill Street Blues would have lasted 1 season. But it won Emmy for Best Show, even though I think it was like dead last in the ratings, and then it got picked up, and then it finally people caught on.
I'm glad it did. Because I had caught up with it later in life. Not when it come out. When it did come out.
Hill Street Blues came out before we ever watched. I caught it in reruns too, around 2000. That's one show we'll probably never discuss on the show because it wasn't a car-oriented one. But if you get the chance, seriously, you have to watch Hill Street Blues. Of all the shows of that era, it's the only one I think that completely holds up. It is absolutely fantastic, even today.
Definitely, give it a shot.
So Rockford Files, another show from Stephen J. Cannell. This one is kind of strange because Roy Huggins, the man who was behind The Fugitive, he co-created the show, and he was one of the main writers until he decided to circumvent the producers, the head writer. I think he even went beyond the union and rewrote a script that never got submitted. And James Garner discovered when he read it, he goes, "Why is this so terrible? This doesn't even make any sense. Why is this being approved?" And it turns out he never went to anybody to get approved and was taken off of the show. So Stephen J. Cannell, after I think episode 13, was the guy running the whole thing, and that pretty much made his career.
Yes. And I think that turned it around.
Yeah, but I don't think Stephen J. Cannell ever hit the same height of creativity after Rockford Files. A lot of his stuff is kind of, it's entertaining and it's fun, but it never had the same quality. Maybe I'm being kind of... I mean, 21 Jump Street's great, but I think a lot of that is his co-creator, Frank Lupo. Or, no,
Right.
Patrick Harsbro. You know, he's more known for, like, Greatest American Hero, which is kind of flimsy, The A-Team, Hardcastle McCormick, and then... the Commish was good. He did work heavily on The Commish, and that was really a smart
Love
show.
The Commish.
Yeah. But for the most part, I think The Rockford Files is probably his most enduring. No, I said earlier the Fall Guy is the one that I prefer, but Rockford is probably better written. But I think the fun factor of Fall Guy is hard to deny.
Yeah. Well.
That pause is me hiding a burp.
Thank you.
There's one thing I want to go off on a tangent here with Stephen J. Cannell while I have the chance. He was really clever. He was working as a head writer for only $600 a week. He was the cheapest writer on Universal's lot. But he found a way to negotiate a pilot deal. If he wrote a 2-hour pilot for Universal, which they could sell as a movie, he would qualify for $70,000 and $100,000 if it went into production. So he found a way to finagle Universal into making like a dozen pilots within the first few years of that deal. So his fortune isn't from writing a regular series; it was from doing pilot movies.
Nice.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's not too
he
bad.
was really smart. Universal probably thought that they wouldn't get anything out of him, and no, he kept churning out like stuff that really got picked up. Not everything was a series, but they would sell it as a movie overseas or sell it into syndicated television as a movie if it didn't get picked up. I think that's the way they should do it now, because I hear about a lot of pilot episodes that I want to see, but they never let us choose. But they should put them out there as a movie, and we can just rent it or just like stream it.
That would be nice. Well, everyone feels like it's like hoarders, okay, I might be able to use this one day, so anyway.
Yeah, the problem is with holding deals is if you don't pick up that pilot, the people who are in the show will go. They'll go to another show, and you'll never get that same energy again. I've seen a lot of pilots where they change their mind later, and then all of a sudden the cast changes. You're like, what just happened? Like, I don't know if it was last episode, maybe it was 2 episodes ago, where we discussed The Highwayman. And you can see a huge difference between the pilot movie and the first episode, and that's where the series kind of goes awry, is that first episode. So if you keep people like that, let us pick. I think Amazon's letting us pick now. Amazon does like 5 pilot episodes a year, and they let you vote on which should be picked up for a series, which is the way it always should have been.
Right. You'll find yourself making eventually a decision. I mean,
yeah.
Who better to tell you what's going to make it big than the people who are actually going to be watching?
We're the ones watching the show. The executives probably don't care once the first episode is shot. They're just like, all right, this seems like the kind of thing we could sell to advertisers. Put it out there. And they're so wrong.
What is there, like... Go ahead.
I was done.
I was going to say, what are there, like 7 billion people in the world? Let's see. So we knock that down to the people who actually watch TV and compare that to the focus group that they showed it to.
Right. That, or sometimes they don't even show it to a focus group. It's just one guy, one executive who just goes, yes or no. And that seems strange that one guy has that much power.
It's nuts.
All right, so just recently, within the last 6 months, the entire Rockford Files series is available in a nice collector's set. I don't know if it includes the movies. I think the movies are separate. You can pick those up at Amazon or whatever, like deep discount for a good price. The movies take place many, many years after the series ended. The series ended, probably a lot of people know this, is James Garner was beat up. He insisted on doing his own stunts for realism. Blew out his back, destroyed his knees. I'm sure his shoulders and neck weren't feeling too good. And his doctor told him he had to stop or he was going to be crippled. So he ended his contract early, which infuriated Universal. He tried to appease them by bringing back Maverick, and it was a huge flop because by then Westerns were not popular. And I think that was part of the reason why Universal refused to pay him his royalties, which is always a dubious. The studios are always saying that everything they ever make was in debt, and they never make any money. I mean, as far as I know, Forrest Gump is still in debt. They never made a profit off Forrest Gump, so they've never paid out Tom Hanks. And they do this all the time, and the problem is it caused ill will. And then they want that actor for a project, and that actor says, no, there's no way unless you pay me. Give me the money that you owe me, or I'm not showing up in your project. Which brings me to an episode we discussed back in June, Magnum P.I. Rockford was supposed to show up on Magnum P.I. towards the end, and Universal refused to pay James Garner, so he never showed up. That stinks.
I'm kidding.
Yeah. It's a bummer.
Where is Rockford based?
I believe San Diego.
San Diego, okay. Well, that would have been kind of interesting.
Yeah, so I don't know if he would have gone to Hawaii or... well, you know what? If maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of Simon & Simon. Simon & Simon is set in San Diego. Oh, no, it's Malibu. It's Malibu. That's right, because the first episode is him going to like one of those rich houses in Malibu, which is weird. Malibu is a very, very expensive city, and yet Rockford is living in a trailer on the beach and being so broke, he would move to another town. Go to Santa Barbara.
You can't find out these...
Carpinteria, go somewhere else, you know.
Where around here can I find a place where I can just drop my trailer off in a parking lot and
right.
Nobody cares?
Yeah. I don't think that would work in Malibu. I'm pretty sure the rich people would be like, what's this stupid trailer being in our beautiful beach?
That's right. In my parking lot by the beach.
I think the blue-collar detectives are more appealing because I think most of us are kind of broke and we struggle paycheck to paycheck. And there's shows like Matt Houston where he was insanely rich. It's hard to connect to a guy who has tons of money and he's just bored. What was the other show that was like that? The husband and wife. They were detectives. Heart to Heart.
Yeah.
Heart to Heart, you know, they were bloody rich and they just did it because they were bored. It's hard to connect to that because nobody watching the show is probably bloody rich.
Bloody rich?
Bloody rich. That was my really awful English. The bloody rich. Also sounds like I'm gonna throw up in the middle of saying it. Bloody rich.
I'm not even gonna try.
All right. So what do we got on the car?
Well, the car was okay. Nobody shoot me. Was nothing special. No.
What?
That I can't say that. There's diehard Camaro fans out there Firebird fans. Sorry. Now they're gonna kill me. Dang it. Oh my gosh.
Tomorrow, a Facebook page will be put up Gearheads against Full Throttle Television.
Well, let's see. The car used was a 70. Well, it started off in 74. It was the Spirit model of the Firebird, and they used it right up until. Let's see. Let me just say the car used for Garner's character was always this copper mist gold Pontiac Firebird, starting with the 74 models, and it moved to the 78s. Although the series ran until early 1980, Garner didn't like that Camaro. Dang it! I am gonna be dead tomorrow.
Yeah, seriously, there's gonna be a hit put out on you if you disappear. I don't know him. I don't know what show you're talking about.
I'm sorry. Anyway, he did not like the look of the 79s, so they never used him. Obviously, he had a lot of say in the show. The 74s were the Spirit models, but it was just the 74s. When they moved on to the next year models, they used the Formula 400s, but they just toned it down to make it look like a poor man's sports car. Anyway, the Firebirds were well liked by the cast and crew, and like you said, Garner did most of his stunts, right? So he did about half of his driving stunts, and the other half were done by his stuntman, Royden Clark, which is a really cool little tidbit. He was his stunt double ever since the Maverick series as well.
Yeah, the stunts on shows are very expensive, very costly, and for TV to be on such a tight schedule, you have to make that choice. You have to have a second unit team that is focused on those stunts. So while James Garner is doing the dialogue and the character pieces, they have to shoot them concurrently. They can't have James Garner go off and do all the stunts, or the shoot goes 10, 12 days. Which is why like Buffy and Angel were so expensive and time-consuming, because a lot of those stunts they had to have the actor in the wires, or it wouldn't have worked. But with car stunts, especially back in the day, you could pull away and not tell that it wasn't James Garner. Right.
Wonder how often is it more often that people are doing their own stunts these days? Because it seems to me like I hear that a lot.
for realism, yes, but now we are in the digital age. Shows and
Right.
special effects, they can make it so that it can be pulled off. I really don't believe that Arrow is him doing all of those stunts. That's why he wears the hood, why he has the mask. It makes the stunts easier to do, and then if the face doesn't look right, they can just digitally wipe, something out and add, his mouth or something to it so you
Right.
can pull off the stunt easier. But back in the day, it was always really obvious when special effects were being added. The face wouldn't look right, or he had you remember Arnold Schwarzenegger, if you watch Eraser or Terminator 2, it's very clear it's a different man with like an Arnold mask on.
Right.
Which
Right.
always, it just takes you out of the movie for a moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
The worst offender of that was whenever on A-Team they would have Hannibal's stuntman. He never looked right. He was too thin. He was obviously wearing a wig, and it was like, what? That looks stupid.
Yeah. But, I know. It was all campy to begin with, so we could really let it slide. But
Yeah.
I'll say one interesting tidbit about Garner doing his own stunts. One thing I don't know, this show was known for what became known as the Jim Rockford turnaround. You ever heard of that?
No, but I was reading something earlier about that. What does that mean?
It is a J turn. It's taught to, or a moonshiner's turn, they call it. Essentially, you're driving backwards, and then you do this and that and do some magic, and you turn around and go, facing the other direction, off in the other direction.
Right, yeah.
It's taught to Secret Service and what have you. It's a quick, evasive technique. But apparently, I don't know why. Apparently, it happens a lot in this show. So it ended up becoming his signature move. But anyway, very cool.
All right, so that brings us to the end of Rockford Files. Take a pause. We'll come back with our last show, Mannix.
His name's Mannix. Joe Mannix.
Hey, so as a band geek, does that song really get to you? Because it kind of has like that kind of jazzy band swing kind of thing going. Do you like that song?
Especially because it features the sax so prevalently.
Yeah, you were a sax man. We were discussing.
I was a
this recently.
sax man.
I'm completely tone deaf, apparently, from what teachers tell me. I think they're lying. I think they were just too lazy to teach me. But I always wanted to play an instrument. I was just too lazy. But I'm kind of glad I didn't do any woodwinds because I end up getting like a hiatal hernia later in life, and that definitely would have aggravated it. Lots of acid reflux. I don't know if that's what happens to a lot of people who breathe so hard on an instrument. Did you ever get that? Did you get acid reflux from doing that?
I have issues with acid reflux, but it has more to do with my weight than anything else.
Okay. I was wondering, because all that pressure, I wouldn't be able to do it. I don't have the lungs for it. I can't run very well. I can lift weights like for hours, but when it comes to running, you got me at 10 minutes. I'm like,
Well, it's just like any other muscle. You just got to work on it.
yeah.
You eventually get better. I tell you what, I picked up my saxophone for the first time in years to play with the community band here in town, and I had probably about keeled over after about 10 minutes of playing.
Holy crap, that sucks. So Mannix we saved it for last because it's the show that we're least familiar with, even though it is the most successful of the three shows, and it's the most car-oriented of the three shows, but we really don't have a whole lot of information on it. I watched probably 3 dozen episodes when I was in college, because TV Land had debuted, I think summer of '96, and my mom was a big fan of it, and she was like, you gotta see this show, so I checked it out, but eventually I just got distracted and never came back. So I watched the pilot episode recently, which I think is what you watched, and it is very, very different than the series that I know. It was like kind of a Man from U.N.C.L.E. spy, James Bondy kind of thing going on in the beginning, which is weird.
Right. I don't know. I tend to like some of those older 70s shows, especially some of the drama ones, or I guess 60s. When did that come out?
Late 60s, but for the most part, it's known for being
early 70s.
A 70s show, yeah.
Right. I mean, I don't know. I think I'd have to see a lot more than just the pilot to see if I really get into it or not. Obviously, the cars are gonna speak to me, but beyond that, I was not easily got drawn into this one as I was the other two.
Yeah, the funny thing is, the
I don't know.
pilot episode is very easy to find because Desilu Productions is Desi and Lucy's company, and they did a bunch of shows. This was their final show that they did. For some reason, the copyrights, as the company fell apart, the copyrights for some of their shows was not renewed properly. So I think the pilot episode and like the first couple episodes, there's no proper copyright on them. So you find like a lot of these fly-by-night companies putting them out in packages. So you can find the first movie real easily. That's how I found it. In the first episode, he works for a company called Intertech, which is heavy on computers, using the future, the science, to help solve crimes. I love doing that voice. And he had a different cast. And it turns out that while it was doing okay, CBS saw, well, you know what? A lot of people are alienated by computers. They don't understand what computers are, which kills me. The idea that people didn't understand what a computer really was, I find hilarious because we have them in our pockets now. We're on them all day long.
So we have them on our watches.
Yeah, I know, right? I don't. We have a smartwatch at work, which is like, okay, I work for a company that it's kind of like Big Lots. You guys still have Big Lots out there, right?
Oh yeah.
Big Lots is not up here in Oregon. We have a company called Buy Mart, which is kind of like Costco meets Big Lots, and they buy excess stock from other companies, and you pay for a membership, but it's like a small fee or whatever. But for the most part, they buy stuff that didn't take off at other companies. And we have a smartwatch by a company I've never heard of, which is not rare because we have like a lot of companies I've never heard of. But the smartwatch, all it is a thin little bar that notifies you when you get calls or the weather or whatnot. I thought smartwatches were supposed to be like, I can go on the internet, I can go to Wikipedia and YouTube on my watch.
Mm-hmm.
That is how like the Apple smartwatch is, right?
I don't know what the Apple is. To be honest, I've seen them where you're talking about where it's just a small little bar.
Yeah.
But there's also the kind where you can actually, and most apps have to be made for it, I think. Where you can still do much of the same app's functionality on your watch.
Okay.
But usually it's mostly like calendar or calculator, maybe an MP3 probably as well. If it's Apple, I guarantee iTunes is on your watch. But I don't know Apple. Don't like Apple, so nobody shoot me. But
yeah. Currently, there's some Steve Jobs people collaborating with the people who are mad that you screwed up the car details, and they're both going to come after us.
Yes.
Oh, and I have to say this. Our episode, what was it, the Miami Vice episode, when I posted that, someone got very upset. You guys, your conversation topics are all over the place. You have all these tangents. And I was like, clearly you have never heard an episode that we have ever done before or ever listened to us talk to each other. This is how we work. My brain is like a pinball machine. That ball goes everywhere.
Speaking of Miami Vice, I had some Rocky Road ice cream the other day.
Yeah?
It was the best stuff I ever had. Sorry.
Oh, was it the Crockett and Tubbs flavor? Was it vanilla and chocolate with a little bit of, like, spice in it?
Okay, now you're taking a whole different tangent.
All right. So Mannix, obviously we don't know much about the show, and I feel kind of bad about it. It was kind of like one of those just well-written detective shows that tackled social issues. It was a little more serious-minded than Rockford, which was also like its comparative show at the time. Both were very popular with people when it comes to detective shows. But this one, it focused heavily on, social and political things, post-Vietnam and assault and, just gun issues, stuff like that, stuff that other shows weren't tackling. And even though it didn't get the awards that Rockford Files got, and it hasn't been in syndication as much, it was a more popular show. It's just one of those things. I think it wore Mike Connors out. He was on the show for 8 years. It was still in the top 20 when it ended, but I can see as an actor why you get tired of doing the same thing every day. You have to create. You have to bring something new. I could, as a person who can't even stay on a job for more than a few years and stay in a relationship for, who are we kidding? At all? TV show playing the same thing over and over would just kill me. I can't do it over and over. So, that, and also the fact that CBS did not pay Mike Connors his royalties. Another story of not getting paid royalties. Bummer.
We love Hollywood.
Yep.
It's a love-hate relationship.
They give us the goods, and they don't give the actors we love the goods.
That's right. It's a shame.
Every season is available on DVD. Not a collector's package yet, but hopefully they'll put them in a complete set. And
Well,
go ahead.
I was pleasantly surprised to see that. That's awesome. So I'll definitely probably look into that one of these days.
I was wrong. Actually, I couldn't find it before. There were actually a lot of nominations. Not a whole lot of winning for Golden Globes, but won 4 Emmys. Most of them were like technical ones or like supporting roles. Mike Connors was nominated 4 times for... You know what? I think I'm getting tired. I'm not reading this right at all. He did win a lot of awards. I'm a fool. He won 1 Golden Globe for Best Actor and won 4 Emmy Awards for Best Actor. There. I'll shut up now. Now, let's go to the car details.
Nice. Well,
That was so... I almost feel like editing that out. I screwed that up so bad.
let's see here. Car details. Mike Connors' character drove a 66 Mercury Comet Caliente convertible. And this was only in the pilot episode. Before he went private in later episodes, he drove for a company called Intertech, like we talked about. And he drove a 67 Mercury Comet Cyclone convertible, a 67 Ford Galaxy 500 4-door. Well, this is one of the odd ones. It is actually a hardtop. But these were both company cars that were shot up.
Huh.
And this all happened before he started driving what I would consider iconic if I actually watched the show. But it's a 68 Tornado convertible. Are we seeing a reoccurring theme here?
Yes. You missed one. The Ford Fairlane, one of my favorite cars of all time. The
Ford Fairlane. I'm going to go through here in a minute and just read everything that I can see listed here on this website.
But
in the interest of time.
Who made the Tornado?
Who made the Tornado? Here's where it gets awesome. The Tornado was built by the late and great George Barris.
Yes, George Barris actually just passed. Did you see his casket? They customized his casket to look like a hot rod.
I want that casket. So cool.
I mean, a long time from now. A very long time from now.
Yes, very, very, very long time. Don't let the speedy lines of my casket be an indication of how quickly I want to go down 6 feet under. Anyway, I say, actually, of all the cars that he drove, Mike Connors didn't like that car.
No kidding.
But personally, I thought it was awesome looking.
Yeah.
But I more and more, I'm getting more into some of the like late '60s era I call them odd cars. They still got kind of a muscular look to them, but they're cars you don't see very often. At least not over here. Maybe overseas you see a lot of them. But so I really liked this. From here, I'm just going to read off this website here, what it had on it. It was a silver and dark gray roadster, featured black leather tonneau cover over the back seats, not the black seats. A hidden gun compartment, radio telephone, which is essentially an old style receiver attached somewhere in there. This was really cool. I often wondered why, watching this, how the heck that worked, but anyway.
Yeah, I've always wondered, how are they getting the signal to the phone? How does that work?
Exactly.
How?
Exactly. And this is 1967. I mean, what? What?
I mean,
anyway.
Batman didn't even have a phone in his car, did he?
No.
No.
I don't know.
I don't think he did. I think he had to go home to get a phone call. I mean, it was either the bat signal or the phone at home. And what? Look, Mannix has like a quarter. No, actually, I'm being. You know what? Bruce Wayne was crazy rich. He should have been able to afford what Mannix had. Mannix had like hardly any money. He was just a detective, and yet he had that car phone. Be my Motorola, no less.
I'm gonna have to call you on that one. He did have a bat phone in his car.
What? I don't remember that at all. I just got done.
He did. I'm looking at a picture right here.
All right. Maybe they edit it later.
Yeah, this looks like a later episode. It's like towards the end of the series, but I lost my spot. There it is. Okay. I'm not going to list off everything that was on this thing. You have to look it up in the interest of time. But here's a quick list of cars that were in this show. From 68 to 72, he drove a number of dark green Plymouth cars, including a 68 Dodge Dart 383 engine, a dark green 69 Dodge Dart with a 340 engine, a dark green 69 Dodge Dart GTS convertible with a 340 V8, dark green 70 Plymouth Barracuda convertible with a 340, 1971 Plymouth Barracuda convertible with a 440, a 1972 Plymouth Barracuda convertible with a 383, and during the 73 to 74 season, he drove a Dodge Challenger hardtop with a 340. And then the very last season, I gotta take a deep breath here. He drove a 74 dark blue Chevy Camaro hardtop. As needless to say, if you're a car guy, check this show out.
I mean, seriously, this is the most car heavy, because most shows were obsessed with one type of vehicle. You had to get, that was the thing they were identified with. But this show, just every single season, a new great car. Now, I'll say that his assistant, Peggy, had kind of meh cars. I mean, she had, I don't even know what a Simca is. What is a Simca? I have no idea what that is.
Simca?
Yeah.
That is something I've never heard of before.
Yeah.
How do you spell it?
She drove a Simca, Simca 1000. She also drove the Simca 1204, which is a very random number to pick. The Dodge Colt, and a Chevy Vega, which I don't even know what Vega. Oh, that's a Vega.
Chevy Vega. That's very popular on the drag strips. Yeah, I thought. Okay, I think it's kind of the Simca 1000. It's a European car.
Okay.
French. It's actually French.
Oh.
That's why we've never heard of it. It's one of those tiny cars that fit on those tiny roads. And but anyway,
I think it's funny. Right before, I don't know if people listen to the show all the time, but right before you start up with your car details, I don't know if you even know you're doing it. Right before you go into the car details, you do this thing with your hand. Like you're revving up your own personal engine. Every single episode, right before you go into the details, you're like, here we go.
It's my, yeah. I'm just I'm hyped about it.
All right, so that brings us to the end of this episode, right? Do we have any more details?
I have a lot, but in the interest of detail, I think you're better off. I think we've listed enough.
Yeah, we're past the hour point, which is usually where we stop, which is like, no. I thought this was going to be a short episode. We were discussing this earlier. It's like, yeah, I don't know if we have enough to fill up the hour. Yeah, we're good.
I would like to mention one thing. The Toronado.
Yeah.
Which is essentially like the Cadillac Eldorado and the Buick Riviera or something at the time, I think it was. Oldsmobile wanted to build a small car, and GM had nothing of it, so they got the next best thing and were able to build a bigger luxury type car. And of interesting note, where did I put that? It's a milestone car. A lot of people call it a milestone car. It's historically significant because it was the first front-wheel drive automobile produced in the United States since the demise of the Cord 812 in 1937. And it had many other features on there that were first as well, but that being one of the most significant. But just thought that'd be cool. Little cool tidbit. Not that I'm big on front-wheel drive, but.
And if you're playing the Full Throttle TV podcast at home game, the drinking part is where I say where he says tidbit, and I think you're probably drunk by now because I've said roughly 80 times, and you said tidbit 4. Tidbit, you have to take a large gulp. When I say you just take a sip. So you have to moderate it because I say a lot.
And if I say anyway, you got to chug half the bottle. Sorry.
Oh, and if you're with a friend, every time you mention Glenn A. Larson or Stephen J. Cannell, you have to slap each other.
Yes.
You're getting a little drunk. Oh, he just said Glenn A. Larson. You wake your friend back up. Finish the podcast.
Can we throw Mike Post in there too?
Yeah, you know what? If it's a theme song by Mike Post, you have to dance. Stop everything you're doing. You have to get up and do a jig. Just
upload your videos to YouTube.
Yes. Post the Full Throttle podcast drinking game. You have to dance, slap, and get drunk.
Oh no! What have we started?
Drunksgiving. We started Drunksgiving.
Okay. And on that note...
Yeah. All right, everybody. Check us out on Facebook. We have a page set up for just Full Throttle Podcast. You can check out those episodes. But if you need more than a monthly fix, go to Retro Rocket Entertainment, the main I want to say the main company for all of our podcasts. You can go there. We have news. We have little information we share with you. And we have all 3 of our shows, Video Night, Back in Tunes, and Full Throttle. And we just added a new one called Stumbling Towards Adulthood, where we go through topics from our childhood and we kind of dish about them. Some of that stuff's covered in the cartoon and the Full Throttle, but there's certain ones, like we did one where we talked about the concerts that we went to when we were teenagers. Stuff like that. And next we have, like, the worst jobs, the worst and the first, and stuff like that. Stuff from our childhood that we can't fit into our other shows. Come check it out, subscribe, share, because if you don't know this already, Facebook shut me down for 2 weeks because I found a way around paying them to promote the show. And they banished me. They erased every single post I have ever put out for the last, 6 years? And
Nice.
I cannot afford to pay them because we do this for fun. Ron has done a ton of art for free. But if you like his art, you see for like Retro Rocket and Full Throttle, contact him and send him some cash because we don't get paid for this, and it's fun to do. But it's always nice if we can get a little chunk of change. But I'm not paying Facebook $5. I did it before, and you know what it got me? 3 new downloads and a bunch of subscribers from Russia. Seriously,
Who we
like,
can't even talk with.
I was like, half of the people that I paid to, promote to are like from Croatia, which I'm pretty sure don't even have the internet. I don't know. I think they're fake.
Oh, great.
Okay, and that's it for us here. Ron, thank you. I think the weird thing is we noticed between the break between Rockford and Mannix that I didn't do the real introduction. I assumed that everybody's so used to the show that we didn't have to. But I'm Michael.
Well, let's just hope they are.
This is my hetero life mate. No, I'm kidding. Do you realize that I've known you for almost 25 years now?
Shh.
No, right? I mean, a whole 2 years. We're youngins. I gotta go.
That's right.
I'm skipping school today. I better go and get my lunch from the lunch thing. I don't know where I'm going with this, so I'm done. I'm out. I'm Michael. This is me saying goodbye. Be excellent to each other.
Hasta la vista.
All right, we're out. All right, everybody, welcome to Full Throttle Podcast. You can tell from the music we're going to be we'll be discussing the TV show Vegas and the early 2000 series Las Vegas. I'm your host, Michael, and my co-host. What's up, Ron?
Not much. I'm just
this will be a
grooving to that groovy disco beat.
Yeah, I can dig it. This episode's going to be a little bit shorter because we were struggling on how to put this together. We're starting to... It dawned on us that we're starting to run out of shows to discuss.
It's a sad day.
Yeah, without lots and lots of padding with shows that we really don't know anything about or we've never seen or we can't find, it's probably best that we just keep them short and tight. Like my hair, short and tight.
Or like mine, gone.
Mine too. I'm kidding. I'm totally bald. I'm balder than you for sure. All right, so let's get started with the 70s series Vegas with Robert Urich. And you know what? Let's change the pace. What car did he drive? Let's start off with the car stuff first.
You're putting me on the spot, man.
I know. I'm just.
I wasn't prepared. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, this is the one I got a lot on because I figured, and I put some pun in there, and it's kind of intended. But this is more of a rare bird than the other car we'll be talking about, so I'll probably have a little bit more information on it. But first, let's start off with my personal favorite. Phyllis Davis's character, Beatrice, she drove a 67 or a 68 Mustang. We're not sure because, you know how Hollywood is. They'll take parts here and parts here. And general consensus is it's a 67. But anyway, it's a Brittany blue convertible Mustang. And Robert Ulrich's character, did I say that right?
I think it's Urich.
Urich? Urich. Oh, boy. Well, I did voice typing, and I really screwed that up. Sorry, bud. Robert Urich. Yes, that's it. Anyway, he drives this car occasionally in season 1, but his main car is, and we're going to focus on that, is a 57 Ford Thunderbird. This car was the car that Ford put out to directly compete with the Corvette at the time, which was, let's see, well, what year was this? 57. Yeah, that would have been, I think the Corvette came out in 55, something like that. So they needed a competitor. It was a 2-seater. It had that awesome. Have you ever had? Oh, I don't know what the word I'm trying to look for is. Anyway, ever wanted a car, one of those big lead sleds with the big tire on the back?
Yeah.
That's called the Continental Tire Kit. Now, it was mostly prominent on the Continentals, the Lincolns of the days of yore, anyway, on the Continental Lincolns. But it wasn't actually first on the Continentals. But anyway, that's what it's called. I lost my place, man.
Oh no, you're smoking too much. No, I'm kidding. He doesn't smoke weed at all.
There he is. Okay, here's an interesting bit. I couldn't find any information on the exact engine that Tana's Danny. That's funny. We have 2 Dannys in this show.
Oh,
anyway,
right.
in this. Well, anyway, we don't know what engine was in his car. There's only two cars used, from what I could glean from the internet, the interwebs. One was obviously a stunt car, and then there's the glamour shot car. One of them, I think the stunt car had a Dodge engine in it, so we can just shove that aside for a second. As far as the engines go, there were 4 engine options. Since I don't know exactly what was in there, there were 4 engine options on those T-Birds. And I got way more information than everyone really wants to know. But
go ahead. If you need to take a breather, I'll take over, and then we'll go back to it.
Alrighty, so we'll start with, let's see, there was four series. There was the C series engine. That was the base engine. It had a 292 cubic inch, 2-barrel. It was rated at 212 horse. Excuse me. It was only available with a 3-speed manual, and approximately 3,300 of those were made. The more common D series, and get this, okay, we jumped from 3,300 units to 16,423 units. So obviously more popular. 312 cubic inch, 4-barrel, 245 horse, with either the 3-speed overdrive manual or a Ford-O-Matic transmission. I just love the 50s and all their insert buzzword here. Attach O-Matic for that. This is the future sound, you know what I mean? And on that note, the T-Bird also had the Dial-O-Matic power seat, which slid your seat back when the key was off and slid it back into the front position when the ignition was on. It also had a Dial-O-Matic radio system, which increased the volume as you increased your speed. So I guess technically it really was the future. So I didn't realize they had that kind of stuff back then, but very cool. And then there was a couple other series. There was the E series. That was their high-performance special engine. It had a bigger cam, had 2 4-barrel carbs, and would output 270 horse. And the racing version put out 285 horse. And a little interesting tidbit is the...
Do you know it's really hard to say the word tidbit without screwing that up and making it sound filthy? I mean, hold on a second.
Where is your mind? Well, they developed a supercharged version of this car for the NASCAR competition in the day as well. The first 15 units, let me make sure, 14 units, had a D data plate, and they were called the DF Birds. You can make of that whatever you want. Anyway, and that was why those were produced specifically so that they can get into NASCAR. Now, I can't imagine seeing a Thunderbird in a NASCAR circuit, can you?
No. What? Huh.
But, of course, I don't know what 57 looked like, what NASCAR looked like in 57.
Yeah.
But anyway. And here's an interesting tidbit.
Tidbit? Speaking of tidbit, I have to say this real quick about Vegas.
Go for
Appropriately so, there's a lot of jiggle going on. It's an Aaron Spelling show. We'll get to that in a little bit. Man, there's a lot of jiggle.
Yeah, there is. A lot of bouncing. Anyway. Let's see. We always wonder what happened to the cars when the show ends.
Yes.
But this car in particular, these cars, actually, both these cars were used they were repainted. what was it, an aqua color, and they were used in the '83 film Richard Gere was in called Breathless.
Oh, yeah. Huh. I gotta watch that again. And
Definitely. I've never seen it.
What's that?
Sorry,
It's
the alarm
okay.
went off.
For the most part, I know it because the connection to one of the first movies ever to mention comic books. They had Silver Surfer in it, and he was his character was a huge fan. But I totally forgot about the whole car aspect. But go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. Sorry, I'm trying to shut off my alarm so I don't interrupt it anymore. The cool thing about it was that these cars were scheduled to be crashed in one of the scenes in that movie, in Breathless. But I was going on the internet trying to find information. I found the IMCDB. It's the if anybody doesn't know, that's the Internet Movie Car Database.
Is that new?
Anyway,
I've never even heard of that.
I don't know how new it is, to be honest. Been around a while, as far as I know.
I gotta check.
At least
out.
as long as IMDb. But anyway, it's not by the same people. I don't believe.
No, probably not. There's so many different databases now for stuff. It's crazy.
Well, it's not nearly as polished as the IMDb.
No. Well,
I mean,
they
it's
also
still very
have
good,
huge corporate backing behind them.
Right. There's a owner on there, a forum user on there named Vegas Bird Owner, and his father and his business owner, through much talking back and forth and convinced Aaron Spelling and his crew to sell him the cars, and they switched the car that was going to be crashed out to, I guess, a Porsche or something. I've not seen the movie, so the cars were saved, and they are still alive to this day because of it. So.
Nice, good. You hate
That's
to
all
see
I have
these
on that.
classic cars absolutely destroyed and never seen again, and all
Yes.
that's left is kit cars, or just replicas. It's nice to know that the originals still exist.
I would have rather, especially with a car like this, I would have rather seen a replica crash than why did they got to do it to the original?
Yeah, I don't get that. They can just buy a cheap one, put a plastic shell over it or something, and do it. These days, it's all CGI.
What year was this show out? Was it 70?
78 to 81. Robert Urich is an unusual one because I think he still holds the record for most TV shows. And I think it was 11 TV shows that he launched. And only Vegas and Spencer for Hire lasted at least 3 seasons. I say if a show lasts 3 seasons, it's considered something of a success. Below that, you're just
Right.
like, oh, it could have been a fluke that it lasted to a second season. But most of his shows got canceled immediately. But sadly, he did pass away, I believe, in 2001. And if he hadn't passed on, I mean, his record could have been 15, 16 shows. Who knows?
Right, definitely. Was it he? I think when I was looking through information, didn't he have what did he have? Was it cancer or?
I'm pretty sure it was cancer.
Yeah.
I know that he had severe complications. He had a TV show on TNT, which was actually kind of popular. It was called Lazarus Man. It was a Western, and he
Awesome.
got sick, so TNT canceled it instead of waiting for him to get better, which is BS in my opinion. He went to remission,
Right.
and then he launched the remake of Love Boat. And it was on UPN. It lasted for 2 seasons. He got sick again, and it got canceled. And then he did the Emerald Lagasse show. Do you remember Emerald Lagasse? Everybody's crazy about him for a short period of time, constantly going around going, bam, bam, bam.
Right.
And
I love.
he died
yeah.
shortly after that was canceled.
Oh, dang.
Yeah,
I had a thought in my head and I lost it.
It's okay. While you think about that, I'll let you know that show Lazarus Man that he was on, since got canceled due to not ratings, but to him being sick, he actually sued Castle Rock Television and TNT and got $1.47 million.
Wow. That was the thought in my head. I would imagine, well, cancer victims and you see a lot of drive in people when they get to a certain point, as long as they have something to help them fight,
Yes.
something to fight for, you know what I mean? Not just their life. Just, I would imagine he loved acting, obviously. That would have been something to help me drive and fight, and, taking that away would have just, I don't know, that's my opinion.
He is actually a really well-known college football player. He played for Florida State University, but ended up graduating from a different college, Michigan State University, with a different degree. He got a master's degree in broadcast research and management, then became an actor. I was wrong, not 11 TV shows, 13. I'm going to go off real quick about him. Bob, Carol, Ted, and Alice, an adaptation of the movie. That was his first series. He did SWAT, which is awesome. If you've never seen SWAT, go find it. Soap, also very good, but he was only in the first season. Tabitha, which is a spinoff of Bewitched, when her daughter is older. He was in Vegas. Gavilan, which not a lot of people remember that one. Then he did Spencer for Hire, which I think is
Love that show.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably his most well-known show, and one of the only shows I know set in Boston. And he did American Dreamer, which bombed. Crossroads bombed. It Had to Be You bombed. Then Lazarus Man, and the rest of them we discussed.
Right. So it took me a while to remember that that's where I remembered him from. I mean, I've seen some of his other work, but Spencer for Hire was when I first, as far as I remember, when I first figured out who he was.
Yeah, for me it was Ice Pirates. I had seen that in the theaters a year before Spencer came out, and that's what I knew him from.
Was that one of our rentals, our high school movie rentals?
It possible. I can't remember, but it's very possible that was one of our regular rentals.
It seems to me like it would have been something you and I would have
definitely.
rented.
It was goofy and fun and tons of special effects, and definitely something that we would have watched.
Right. Okay, I think I want to watch it again, to be honest.
The best triple feature that I ever saw at the drive-in, which triple features at a drive-in are rare anyway, it was Ice Pirates, Star Trek 3, and Last Starfighter, and I stayed up for the whole thing, and I was 7 years old.
No way. You were how old?
7. So I must have had like some sort of just drive keep me awake. Like, I gotta make it. Only one more movie to go.
Did you have some rope licorice? All right, starting to wind down.
A lot of sugar, and maybe I took a nap during the day. I can't believe I made it through that.
Sugar injection.
All right, so the show Vegas is actually created by Michael Mann, even though it was produced by the Spelling Goldberg team. Spelling Goldberg is basically known for doing tons of fluff. Either shows that had some sort of serious tone, and then they would just show in like shots of people's butts and chests, and like they were big on the jiggle factor and the glitz. And it makes sense that they would buy this show from Michael Mann, who was a serious crime writer. Everybody knows him, of course, as the creator of Miami Vice, or the co-creator of Miami Vice, and Crime Story. He would do Manhunter, Heat, The Insider, tons of really great crime cop movies and stuff like that. If you watch Vegas, you can see that, at least in the first season, it's very serious. Stories mixed in with the glitz going on around it, but I noticed as the show goes on that his controls seem to be falling apart, and I think that's why Tony Curtis quit after the first season. Is he realized it wasn't going to be the show that he signed up for.
Right. It never is. Never stays that way.
Yeah, a lot of shows they get mucked with by either the network or the executive producers, and then the creator just walks. Look at Heroes, one of the greatest first seasons I've ever seen. The network stepped in and destroyed it, so he quit and created Pushing Daisies.
So one of the other things I liked about this show is going back to the theme song when you started it. And I didn't know this until I started. I was curious. I wanted to figure out what this guy was. Some guy with some cred. His name is Dominic. And if I kill this, excuse me. It's Frontier. I'm guessing it's French or Italian, maybe. I think it might be Italian. Anyway, he did the music for like one of the shows we did before, Matt Houston.
Yeah.
Going on further back, he did the Gumball Rally.
Oh, speaking of cars, we were talking about doing the Cannonball Run movies. There's tons of these car racing movies that we could discuss after the shows are done. I haven't seen Gumball Rally. I want to watch it.
It's awesome. It's stupid fun.
Yeah. That's the one.
But yeah, there's a whole list. Right? If you ever want to, I'm sorry, what?
That's the one with Michael Cera's in, correct?
Crap! I haven't watched it in so long.
It's okay.
I couldn't name anybody in it at the moment, but anyway, if you ever get a chance, if you're into the music parts of this, look at Dominic Frontier. It's Frontiere. Definitely well worth a listen. There's a lot of it out on YouTube if you want to give it a shot.
Oh, okay.
Anyway,
yes.
moving on.
So for the show, It's finally out on DVD, the complete series. You can get it for pretty cheap. Weirdly enough, I don't think they release complete seasons. They do season 1, part 1, part 2, then season 2, part 1, part 2. It's a strange choice not to release it. It's not like the seasons were very, very long, but that's just how Paramount went with it.
Well, if they're going to make it, they're going to make a little extra cash. That's the way I look at it. And for those who don't know, this is Vegas with a $sign at the end.
Yes, there's 3 different Vegas shows. There is the one that we're discussing right now. Then there is Las Vegas, which is coming up next. But then there's the Vegas show that lasted for a year with Dennis Quaid and... he was on The Shield.
Michael Chiklis.
Michael Chiklis, thank you.
Yep.
But I never actually saw a single
that looks promising. Apparently the ratings weren't all that great on it, and that, to me, I never got a chance to actually see it, but I thought it looked pretty awesome from what I saw.
The show was very, very expensive. I think they said $3.5 million per episode, and with network television not doing as well as it used to, you can see why they canceled it. There is another Vegas TV show that I was trying to find that we could discuss. It was a short-lived TV show in '99 on UPN called The Strip. It was a cop show set in Vegas. Sean Patrick Flannery's a star, and he had a really awesome car. I can't find anything about this show. No clips, except for like one brief commercial on YouTube. So I apologize for not being able to cover that. And there's going to be a lot of TV shows that we tried to cover we plain and simply cannot find. Because you remember last year we were trying to find 18 Wheels of Justice when we were doing our trucker episode?
Right.
Nowhere. You can't
find
a single episode. There's one in Spanish, and I don't speak Spanish, so I have no idea what's going on.
I think the next best thing we could do is reach out to our fans. If anybody out there has a VHS tape,
yeah,
of course, do we have anything to play those on anymore?
Yeah, and then there's some shows where we're still not certain we're going to cover, like Cobra, which isn't a very good TV show, even though the car is awesome. Renegade, which I know was on for 6 seasons, but I think is god-awful. He had a cool motorcycle. There's some stuff we're just not going to be able to do. So we were going to do a season 3, but we're going to shorten it. We're just going to make season 2 longer than the normal 6 episodes that we planned. And then we're going to start discussing movies. We want to discuss some trucker movies and some car movies and maybe some airplane stuff. Like we have the Iron Eagle 30th anniversary versus Top Gun episode coming up soon. For Valentine's Day, we're going to be discussing the Love Bug Herbie series. And I think that we should try to do 2 episodes. We usually do 1 a month, but I think we should try to do 2 this month because 50 years ago today, I say today, but when you're listening to this episode, it's irrelevant, is the 60th anniversary or 50th anniversary of the Batman TV show.
Right.
So how can we not talk about one of the coolest cars ever, and then we'll talk about Green Hornet with that. That will probably be our next episode. Check us out on Facebook. We're on RetroRocketEntertainment.com and Full Throttle Podcast, a special page where we share the podcast, but we also share a lot of information about cool cars and movie cars and stuff like that. And so I think probably time now for us to do our last show of this episode is Las Vegas. From 2003, it was on NBC. And give me a sec, I'll get the theme song going. Here we go. Alright, and you'll notice that is not the original theme song. That is the syndicated and DVD version of the show. The original series had A Little Less Conversation remix from Elvis.
Oh, right, gotcha.
Yeah, so I guess they didn't get the rights, which seems silly. They didn't think the show was going to go on DVD or syndicated, that they couldn't put that on the show. That theme song is kind of generic. I prefer, of course... Well, who doesn't prefer Elvis? If you choose anything over Elvis, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
Unless it's Frank Sinatra. I'll give you leeway for Frank Sinatra.
There's the King, and then there's... I don't know. He's in a...
2 completely different artists, but did you know that Frank Sinatra hated Elvis?
Really?
Yeah, he hated him because he thought his music was garbage, but his daughter said he was just jealous because Elvis was making his album sales go down. Like, the music scene was changing by the time Elvis really kicked into high gear. That old school crooner kind of music was dying off, and rock and roll took over. So he was really pissed at Elvis. And trust me, Sinatra was pissed at a lot of people. He had a lot of grudges for weird reasons. But oddly enough, out of all the people that he let it go. Some years down the road, after his first breakthrough, I think it was in the late 60s, that they appeared on a show together. And Elvis and Sinatra sang a song. It's kind of cool that they mended that.
That's awesome. I'd like to hear that one.
Yeah. All right, so Las Vegas, of the two shows, this one I prefer, even though there was a lot of mucking with the storyline. How many episodes of this have you seen? Because I kind of know that I've seen every single one of them, but I don't think you have.
For this go round, I was only able to see like 3, and then, but maybe a couple years ago, I sat down and tried to watch it all. I've probably seen a whole season.
Yeah, I think it's still on TNT, if I'm correct. Yeah. I'm trying to remember. It used to show in the afternoons. It could still be on. I'm not sure. DreamWorks, I believe, produced this, and they've been having a lot of financial trouble, so I don't know if their show is up in like hiatus or just no one has bought it right now.
I don't know.
But this was...
I thought it was...
Go ahead.
Yeah, I thought it was very well put together as far as... And it's an interesting take on it, on the whole Vegas scene.
Yeah. But it's not from a cop perspective or a detective perspective. It's from surveillance and security, and which is kind of a unique approach. You see more of how a casino works. Like, what are the inner workings of... how does a guest service person do things? How does a pit boss do, even down to the valet? Which, I've always had a problem with the fact that they made Mike the only black male character, a valet. It almost seemed... I don't want to say racist to keep the black guy in like this little role, but I'm glad that eventually they turned him into a security team member.
So everybody's got to start somewhere, right? I don't know.
Yes, I don't know.
But I agree with you. I agree with you.
Yeah, it just seemed like it was an easy network thing to do. Well, a black guy can't be a lead, so let's just make him kind of like a lesser than. And like, you could definitely make him the lead. Now, I think
he did a really good job, though.
He did. He's one of my favorite characters. Josh Duhamel doesn't get a lot of credit. A lot of people just look at him as like he was in this Jiggle show, and he was in the Transformers movie where you really can't act. But he has done a couple really good independent movies that you should see that he just absolutely phenomenal in.
I could have swore there was... Well, yeah, I guess I've seen him in Transformers, and I think you and I were talking this a while back when we were trying to figure out what shows we're going to do. I couldn't figure out what it is I'd seen him in before Vegas.
Was it Tad Hamilton?
See, I don't know.
Oh, I know he was on soap operas, but then he was in Win a Date with Tad Hamilton, and that's what got him the Las Vegas movie, or show.
Maybe that was it. I don't know. See, I don't pay much attention to the chick flicks.
Yeah, well, I saw this one because I'm a big Topher Grace fan, so I wanted to see it. And I don't remember it being very good, but that's definitely what put him on the map.
I'm not saying there's not some good ones out there. I just don't typically go for them. I usually watch them when my wife wants to watch them. So,
dude, I'm a sucker for You've Got Mail. I do not apologize for this whatsoever. I will watch You've Got Mail anytime that it's... Oh, hey, sure, why not? I got nothing else to do. I won't go to work. I'll watch this.
That's one of the handful of exceptions to the rules.
Yeah.
What's the other one? Oh, shoot.
You know what I won't watch?
Billy Crystal. What's the Billy Crystal in...
Harry Met Sally?
Yes, When Harry Met Sally. Love that movie. And you would think I'd love it so much that I would remember the character, the freaking actors that were in it. But
yeah, Josh Duhamel appears in a series. I can't remember the name of the writer. He does The Notebook and all those sappy, lovey-dovey. What are those movies written? Nick Sparks or something like that?
Nicholas Sparks, I think.
Yeah, I cannot stand those movies, but he made one called Safe Haven, and that was pretty much the last gasp of him. Josh Duhamel's back on TV, or he's doing like lower budget movies, and it's kind of a shame because actually, he did a movie called Scenic Route, which if you have to choose anything to see him in, see him really act, that's the one you go with.
I'll give that one a shot.
Yeah, and you were saying that it was kind of a coincidence that both Vegas shows starred somebody named Danny. I don't know if it was... I feel like the show is an intentional homage to the old Vegas show. Like, the guy who created it, Gary Scott Thompson, loved that show, and it's like, well, you know what? We never see action shows anymore. The only thing on the air is Alias. Let's bring back something that has action, but at the same time has, it can be for everybody. It's fun and exciting. There's lots of glitz and glamour, but it's not dumb. I think it's a fun show that doesn't play down. It just wants to have a show where you can just sit back, relax. There's no stress. There's no serious drama for the most part, and just have a good hour with the whole family.
Definitely.
But Gary Scott Thompson is also the creator of the Fast and the Furious series. So even though Vegas isn't on the air anymore, you betcha he's getting in huge checks every time there's a sequel.
I'll say, going back to the other Danny, what was it? Come on, Danny Tanna. It was Dan Tanna, sorry. His name was Dan Tanna. And it was actually named after a restaurant that's apparently still in business to this day.
Yeah, I've seen that, and I thought that was weird.
Well, that's pretty cool. Another interesting little tidbit.
Tidbit? That's our new word, tidbit.
Tidda. There's a UH in there. Tidda. Anyway. What is it? Who's the other people in there? Nikki Cox.
Yeah, it's funny.
I had something going.
The cast didn't last that long. Some of them, Nessa was only on the show for 2 seasons, and I have not seen her since. I really liked her character. Mary, which is Nikki Cox's character, she would be taken off the show at the end of season 4. She was taken off, and so was James Caan. James Caan turned out was too expensive, and I think he didn't like the direction of the show, and he wanted to go back to doing movies. So both of them left at the end of season 4 with a pretty good storyline. And then Tom Selleck came in as the new owner. Now, a lot of owners would come in and out of this place. Dean Cain, I believe, was an owner for a short period of time. And what is the name?
Serious?
He was on a good arc. What is the name of the lady? She was in Wayne's World as Wayne's ex-girlfriend who bought him a gun rack. I can't remember her name. She's really, really crazy skinny. Laura Flynn Boyle. That's right. The voice was called to me from another room. I can't remember. She ran the hotel, and her storyline is crazy. She dies in such a crazy fashion that you cannot believe it even happened. And lots of guest stars would show up in this too. I remember specifically in the first season, I believe Van Damme. He dies in a weird fashion. Apparently, this is the thing. All these famous people would show up and get killed. Stallone was in it, Sean Astin, Terry Bradshaw, of course Dean Cain was in a couple episodes, Rachel Lee Cook, Elliot Gould, Dave Foley, Brian Austin Green, John Lovitz was actually in a handful of episodes. Jay Moore. I believe this is the show where Jay Moore met Nikki Cox, and they're still married to this day.
Really?
Yeah.
Very cool.
One of the best cameos or guest stars was from Jerry O'Connell, because it allowed a crossover with... do you remember the TV show Crossing Jordan with Jill Hennessy?
Yes.
Yeah, they are in the same universe. So I think there's about 4 episodes of Crossing Jordan and 4 episodes of Vegas where they exist in the same world. It's pretty cool. I love when they do that in shows. It opens up their world.
I do too.
Charlie's Angels in Vegas actually exist in the same world because Dan Tanna appears at the end of Charlie's Angels, and then 5 minutes later you see the first episode of Vegas.
That's awesome. Now, I love it when they do that. Like, Law and Order did a really good job of that, where they had to have the one show and then you'd have the court show afterwards, but they tied in together. But there were 2 separate shows. I love it when they do that sort of thing. It's just...
Now, not a lot of people know this, but do you remember the Knight Rider remake? It was like 2008, 2009.
Do I have to?
You didn't like it?
I don't... Was that the... Well, I don't know. Is that the one where there were multiple cars?
No, that's Team Knight Rider. That is garbage. I'm talking
right,
about
that is
the one
garbage.
where it's the son of Michael Knight. It's the one with the car that would do like camouflage and had body armor and stuff like that. Do you remember it was only on...
That's not Knight 2000, right?
Yeah,
or Knight 3000 or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I remember that.
But that exists in the same world as Vegas, too. There is an episode where he goes to Las Vegas, and you see the characters you see Josh Duhamel and, not Nikki Cox. Why am I so terrible with names? I even literally have this in front of my face.
I am, too.
My brain is going.
There's supposed to be something in the air.
Yeah. Molly Sims, they actually show up at I think it's the 5th episode of that show. And the reason is, the creator of Vegas was the showrunner on the new Knight Rider. And he was never able to finish Vegas. It ended on a cliffhanger, and NBC said, screw it, we're not going to finish it. And left everybody hanging. So if you watch the Vegas episode of the new Knight Rider, you see the storyline wrapped up.
Okay, can we get that on DVD?
No, but I believe it's streaming on Hulu.
Woo! I love Hulu sometimes.
Yeah, I can't remember if I said this or not. Yeah, Tom Selleck comes in at the 5th season. He's the new owner, and they found a way of saving money by basically having him show up like once every 3 episodes. And he would only show up for like 5 minutes for the most part. You know, and who doesn't love Tom Selleck? I don't care if it's 5 seconds. I'll take Tom Selleck pretty much in any show.
That's right. All right.
You
gotta love
Dead,
the stash.
Have Tom Selleck show up as a zombie in one of the episodes of Walking Dead, and I'm gonna watch it again.
Although, what is it? Is Tom Selleck in a show now where it's stashless?
No, and I never want to see that again.
No?
He did that for a very
Me
short
either.
period of time where he took off his mustache, and it was like seeing your grandma naked. It's something you never ever. It's horrifying. It makes your blood just drop, and you're just like, oh, the nightmares are gonna continue again.
Cannot unsee
Yes,
that.
you cannot unsee Tom Selleck's upper lip without a mustache. It's weird. It's like it's supposed to be there. It's just unnatural. So yeah, he has a goatee now. He's been doing those Stone Cold movies. Not Stone Cold Steve Austin, the detective show Stone, and then he's been doing Blue Bloods, which I think is in its 6th season, which I've never seen a single episode of, but people love it.
Obviously, 6 seasons. That's one of them on my to-watch list, but I've got too many others on that said list.
Yeah, well, your Netflix queue is probably filled. Everybody's Netflix queue is filled with shows with like, I'll get to it later.
I think there's a limit on the queue as well, so you're like, crap, I can't add any more.
Oh, I didn't know that even was possible. Who did that? Maybe they couldn't handle the database or whatever. Like, this guy has 6,000 shows in his queue. We can't have that.
We can't be responsible for his couch potato-ness.
What I've been told is that it's called queue gridlock, where you find yourself constantly scrolling and adding new things and then perusing over what you already have in your queue. But at no point do you actually go, watch that. You just basically just scroll, and then go to YouTube, watch something else. Oh, look,
I have never done that.
What?
I have never done that.
I have tortured with my Netflix queue at times because I'll just sit there and scroll and go, I'm not in the mood. Oh, that person isn't here to watch that with. Oh, I'm on episode 5. I guess I can wait. And that's the one big problem with Netflix.
Oh, crap. Now it's time to go to bed.
Yeah.
Dang it.
How many hours have I been scrolling? Oh, my God. Sir, you have carpal tunnel because of it.
We wake up the next day, you got 18 shows that you clicked on, didn't realize it because you were half asleep.
Yeah. I love how Netflix makes you feel guilty when it goes, are you still watching? Like, I want to see a seriously
right.
Like just a disapproving look. Netflix, seriously, you're on your 12th episode of this. Are you still watching?
My wife will watch either Friends or Grey's Anatomy going to sleep. And that's how she wakes up and knows she needs to put the tablet down because there's no more sound. Like...
So I'll say this about Vegas. It's of the 2 shows, I choose this one. My favorite character is actually Sam. Nobody really gives her credit, but she's the one that actually just basically, she's a guest host specialist, and she has to go through so many insane things to keep these guests happy, and she's so much fun to watch her just like get stressed out and deal with these lunatic people. And I've worked in a casino, and watching some of these people, I was surveillance, if anybody's wondering. I was surveillance, and you watch some of these people just misbehave so poorly, but because they're big spenders, they get away with it.
Yeah. What else was...
What's that?
Dang it. Speaking of Sam, there was something big that she was in. It was Beverly Hills, that's what it was. Yeah.
Well, she was
Beverly Hills
on the Rock.
90210.
Yeah, she was on The Rock. Remember, she's Nicolas Cage's wife.
Oh, right. Right.
All right, so I think that brings us to the end of this episode. It's funny, I said it was going to be a shorter episode, but we're almost at 40 minutes, so I guess it's only a little bit shorter. Tiny bit shorter.
Well, I suppose we ought to say something about the car first.
Oh, duh. Isn't it weird that this episode's so different because we started off with the cars in Vegas, which we never do. We never start off with the car information, so I'm sure there's at least 2 people that said, "Oh God, here we go," and then fell asleep in the first 2 minutes. And in this one, I almost shut down the show without talking about the cars. Go!
And then there'll be 2 other people going, man.
This podcast needs a little less conversation, a little more details. Go ahead. Did you like that?
Okay, so I loved it. Great tie-in. So Danny McCoy's car is probably one of the more popular cars from the 60s and early 70s. Well, let's go back to the 60s. I don't know. Diehard in the wool Camaro fans would probably say, every one of them was great. But personally, this is my favorite. It's a 69 Camaro SS convertible. Well, preferably I'd have a hardtop, but that's my own preference. It was Daytona yellow and here's where I got a lot of people were calling them rally stripes, and maybe that's just an overall term, and maybe I don't know my stuff as well as I think, but from what little bit of information I could look up, it's actually the Z28 style stripes that were on this car, because the actual SS stripes were tinier, the little hockey stick looking thing that goes from the front headlight and then straight down the side of the car instead. The SS Performance Package, this was also, the 69 was the last of this first generation of Camaros. The SS Performance Package consisted of either a 350 or a 396 cubic inch V8, and it had an upgraded chassis to handle the additional power. And this is, I hate it when they do this. It did look good on this car, I'll give it that. A lot of like your aftermarket hoopties, or what do you want to call it? You see, this perfect example. I saw a picture the other day. Somebody popped up, modified their vehicle. I can't remember what it was, but it was some regular Joe Schmo family sedan, and the hood scoop on it from a distance looks like a decent hood scoop, but when you zoom in on up close of it, it's a paint roller pan turned upside down and painted the color of the car.
What?
Are you kidding me?
Right.
That's classic. But anyway, I digress. The SS had air inlets on the hood, and they were for aesthetics only. They looked like they would allow air into the engine bay, but they were non-functional. But they did look good, I think. Anyway, like I said, I have to admit I don't know my Camaros as well as I should, and for that I apologize to you fans. But the convertible SS was available with both the 350 and the 396, like I said, but I'm unsure of what was in Danny's car. Mm-hmm. So for the sake of time, I will just focus on the base model, which was the SS 350. That was the more popular option anyway. That was the engine code L48. It has a 5.7 liter, 350 cubic inches with an output of 300 horse and 380 foot-pounds of torque. And I hope I got that right, because there's a lot of numbers flying around out there. It also had a compression ratio of 10.25 to 1. That's the same base engine that was in the Corvette of the same year.
Can I say this?
No, I tell you. Go for it.
The information that you have provided in this episode is more than if you took the rest of the episodes that we ever discussed and combined them. Usually you're just like, I got nothing on this. I don't even, like, you can't find anything on anybody's car or motorcycle, whatever. You're just like, it's cool.
Some of them were so obscure.
I know, it's my fault. I try to find the most obscure show possible and to frustrate you with it. Then came Bronson.
That doesn't make any less cooler.
Yeah.
So...
Oh, we're going to have fun with some of the movies we watch, because we're going to be like, I got nothing on Black Moon Rising. I got nothing on the Wraith. I don't know what stroke race, what he was driving.
I got a bit on the Wraith. I did look that up a long time ago. But I was going to say, it's one thing that interested me on like a lot of the cars from the 60s, and this I miss actually, although it would probably drive a salesman nuts, because I'd be sitting in that freaking sales room for 3 days trying to figure out what freaking engine I want to put in my car. But like this day and age, you got listen to my English, you have like 3 or 4 different options, and whatever option you pick, the package, everything that comes with it is what you get, and you can't intermingle stuff. You can't special order anything anymore.
Yeah,
it sucks.
Yeah.
You'd think at least the Mustangs and Camaros and the Challenger are there, and there's some aftermarket stuff available, but I want to see stock out of the factory stuff coming out where you have an option and you pick and choose from an a la carte and you actually build the car you want.
Why is it we're in a world with so much technology, so much choice, but it seems like there's so many things that you're used to that you can't build the way... Why am I still seeing cable packages the way they are? Why can't I just pay like, okay, well, it's $1 a station, and you pick like the 50 stations you would watch. I don't want 20 stations that are shit, that I have no interest in whatsoever. You know, why do I need a home shopping network? I'm never even going to look at the home shopping network. Can I have El Rey? Can I have the Fuel channel? You know, can I have G4? It makes no sense. And the same thing with cars. Why is it the corporations are not letting people build the cars the way they want to? If the American companies are in such dire straits financially, why aren't they doing that? Why aren't they letting people go crazy with whatever they want?
I think it probably comes down to the bottom dollar or whatever, just production costs. So one person wants to do this certain thing. Well, now they've got to do some, now they got to shut down their line or whatever. But I don't know. Like some of the Copo Camaros. What's it, Copo? Do I get it right now? Yanko Camaros.
I remember.
See, like I said,
I remember the Al Yankovic.
Yankovic. Well, the Yanko was actually a car dealer, and he would actually do his own thing. They get the cars from the factory, and then he'd upgrade it. Like he'd put 427s into the Camaros, but they wouldn't offer that from the factory. So he did his own thing. Now, I think Ford may do that with the Mustang and stuff, and that's the kind of stuff I'm seeing happening. But again, I'd like to see more of that coming from the factory. But it's easier to do it that way, I guess, because then the factory's not shutting down production to make this one-off car that, and maybe there's more to it than that, and feel free to comment on that if you want. But anyway, I digress.
Any more car deets?
No, that's it, man.
All right, so that brings us to the end of this episode. What?
That car is actually still alive, if anybody wants to know. It's actually in Josh Duhamel's possession. He's restoring it.
Nice.
So, anyway, that's it.
All right, so we are not going to take as long as we usually do with episodes this time. Sometimes it's a month to 6 weeks. I am going to try as hard as I can to get you to watch Batman and Green Hornet, and we're going to come back for the 50th anniversary of that show in just a little bit. And by a little bit, I mean like 5 minutes from now. So you better be ready in 5 minutes.
That's right.
All right, everybody. Have a good night. Check us out on Facebook under Retro Rock Entertainment or Full Throttle Podcast. Ron, thank you again for joining me with this show.
Anytime, man.
All right. Have a good night.
Later.